Welcome back to another episode of Ballers, Beers, and Banter. This is Dave, your host, here with me. One's got a chase, one's got a waddle. Anthony and Moose.
Hello. What's up? That was good.
I think we know what's what. Anthony runs pretty speedy 5Ks. Moose, you got the waddle.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that. I waddle too.
Maybe you just haven't seen Anthony run.
Does he? He's not chasing things down. He's a waddler. I got a bit
a
of
very quick waddle.
I got a bit of I got a strut when I walk too. So we're popping beers. And Anthony and I, normally I don't drink beer on Thursdays, but I'm doing it for Moose. Solidarity, because he had his, can we say it on the podcast, Moose?
I'm not drinking a beer because I'm a wuss. I'm not drinking a beer because I had the vaccine. I don't feel great.
Exactly. Yeah, you had the vaccine. So congratulations, by the way. You got your shot. Anthony, when's yours?
You're
younger than us, eh?
I'm younger than I think so, by a year. Yeah, mine's next Friday.
Next Friday, okay. Like Friday after next or next Friday?
The 28th. As in the day that the curfew is stopped, terraces are open.
Okay, but it takes 2 weeks for the shot to kick in, right? The first shot?
Sure. But
You didn't catch my reference. Moose got my reference. Friday after next or next or just next Friday?
Yeah, I got it.
They're
movies. They're movie titles.
Yeah, they are movies. Yeah. Certainly.
My shot is Anthony, on Sunday, by the way.
It takes 2 weeks for your vaccine to become make you 92% resistant.
Right. This is true. But I'm getting the vaccine and things are opening up. So I mean, positives all around.
Yeah.
I just thought of a Star Trek thing, but I don't want to bother Anthony.
Oh,
I think you should bother him.
Resistance. Like, think about if the Borg were to encounter the vaccine. Resistance is futile. I don't know. I just thought that. Sorry, Anthony. I'm all about Star Trek. I've been falling asleep to Star Trek. So
he got you.
Who got what?
You got him with the Star Trek.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. But that's it. We won't, no more Star Trek. No more Star Trek. Let's talk a little bit. We're going to get into fantasy football. We're going to talk about Jamar Chase and Jaylen Waddle, who are the main topics of discussion for today. But first, if you're watching on YouTube, first of all, if you're not watching on YouTube, go check us out on YouTube. But for those who are, we'll get to see that I'm wearing my OG Montreal Canadiens jersey today, because this episode will be, although we're recording it on Wednesday, May 19th? May 19th. It will, you'll be seeing it on Thursday the 20th, which is the first game of the what will no doubt be an epic series between the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs. Two classic sports franchises who have not met in the playoffs since, what is it, 26 years, 30 years?
I think since the 70s.
79? Longer? Crazy.
Longer?
I have a Maple Leafs jersey somewhere, I think.
Why?
Why did you tell us that?
It's not mine. It was acquired to sell.
Well, and you still have it because nobody wants to buy that garbage.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with 25 cents?
That's it. It's been tough to offload.
Pennies don't exist anymore.
I have a, yeah, nice, Anthony. They got rid of the penny. That's why you couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
Save it, because whatever happens, win or lose, because the Habs are the underdog. Let's be honest here. The Canadians, we call them the Habs. Save the jersey because we can burn it. We could do like some crazy wild, when you're allowed to riot in the streets again. Because if the Habs
no, you're allowed to riot in the streets.
You're allowed to riot in the streets already.
In fact, that's one of the only things you can do in the streets right now.
Then save it. That'll be good.
Goodness. Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
Go Habs, go. No more hockey talk, but I love it. We'll do maybe little spurts of playoff hockey and playoff basketball. The other cool thing is Lakers Warriors tonight. LeBron James versus Steph Curry. The winner goes to the playoffs. The loser has to win the next game. So it's a one-off. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. I know you guys aren't into basketball because I won our fantasy league, and you guys lost.
I am into it. I'm not into fantasy basketball. It's just not as fun as fantasy football or even fantasy hockey. I would rather play Formula One fantasy sports.
Maybe because I was kicking your guys' butts and I dominated, that was probably wasn't as fun?
Didn't even really pay attention. Okay. Didn't even know you were winning.
Okay. Well, every time I do win, I'll remind you. But
well, we'll remind you that you haven't won a fantasy football yet.
Yeah, because this is a fantasy football podcast.
Do we get into this? I have. But anyways,
like, I mean, the
listeners don't listen to that.
He's wearing a hockey jersey. You see,
I have one.
There's football stuff in the background. I can see Moose's. I can definitely see mine. Dave's, it's a little blurred out, but the Habs and hockey, theme, it's there, but it's the wrong sport.
It is blurred, eh? It's the sun. It's really sunny. Beautiful day here in Victoria.
Is that the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Same colors.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Same. Yeah. Gosh.
Well, I can't tell.
Well, you'll tell when the Steelers are dominating the Bears in Monday night week 6. What is it? Then you'll be able to tell it's a Steelers uniform. Okay, let's get into some headlines. That was enough chit chat. I'm going to rattle off some minor headlines here. And then if there's anything that you want to get into a little bit more, then let me know. First one is Raquel Armstead, who was previously with the Jaguars, was cut and signed with the Giants. So to me, that's a little bit significant because there's always risk of re-injury with Saquon Barkley. So is he the backup? If Raquel Armstead ends up being the backup, he could be a good handcuff or just someone to keep your eye on.
Well, I think their current backup is Devontae Booker, I believe.
Oh, okay. The Bookman.
And Raquel Armstead was supposed to be the starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars and, reportedly had some setbacks and some lingering issues from COVID-19. So who knows? Who knows what his athletic ability is at this point?
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Saquon was injured last year. Wayne Gallman was a very good backup. I mean, they want to try and find the next Gallman in case the worst happens.
Well, you need someone, right? You need somebody if all goes well, Saquon will have the majority of the touches, but you always need a backup. And so far in mock drafts, I haven't seen people drafting McCaffrey or Barkley's backups. So McCaffrey's would be Chuba Hubbard, the rookie, who we didn't talk about because he's a little bit further down the depth chart, but and maybe Reggie Bonifant. And then for the Giants, it would be these guys, Booker and Armstead. And for two guys who missed the whole season basically last year, and McCaffrey and Barkley, who knows? Maybe that should be your late round flyer. Although it's not an exciting pick. All right. Okay. Next headline: Joe Burrow. Here's a bunch of easy ones. People who are good to go, who had injuries, who should be healthy for the start of camp or the start of season. Burrow's knee should be good to go. Joe Burrow. So, that's good. I still am concerned about his O-line, but no, they did get a little bit better their O-line. So Joe Burrow's good to go. Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, one of Anthony's favorites, who missed all of last season with also a torn ACL. Anthony, do you remember?
Yes, it was a torn ACL.
Knee injury? Okay. He is also reportedly going to be good to go. And he has been, we haven't talked about sleepers yet. We will. He's probably a good one of the ones that we'll mention in our sleepers episode because he has fallen way down. Whereas he, this time last year, people were pretty high on Cortland Sutton, and he was great when who was throwing him the ball when he had his 2 seasons ago.
It was Drew Lock.
So he could be very, very good. So
he helped me win a title. So
yeah, I think he's only dropped down just because nobody knows his knee situation. I think he'll be right back up there.
You think he'll be back up? Okay.
Or Judy will take over for him.
People are also concerned. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, Teddy Bridgewater, and Drew Lock are not super confident, but so Cortland Sutton should be good to go. Knee is non-issue. And Paris Campbell.
To be determined.
But yeah, Paris Campbell should be, or he's aiming to be ready for camp.
No, you've mixed up the headlines. So
what?
Cortland Sutton, the game plan is to be ready for camp.
Oh,
Paris Campbell says his knee is 100%.
I apologize. You heard it from Moose. I won't have to reiterate. Paris Campbell, another potential sleeper. Someone, if you think that Carson Wentz will be effective, reunited back with Frank Reich and a very good Colts team, then it would stand to reason that at least one of the wide receivers will have a very good season. And pretty much the options are T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, or Paris Campbell. Right? Zach Pascal's probably fourth on that list. Mm-hmm. So Paris Campbell
Hines might even be number 2 as the running back. Who knows? The guy receives a lot.
That's true. Wentz doesn't like to check down as much, but so all three of those guys, Ty, I'm not big on Ty. I don't think you guys are either. He's seen better days, but Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman could be good names for late draft. Actually, Michael Pittman's going probably round 9. He's more of a mid round Marquis de la mid round, but Paris Campbell, I think you can get him very late. So something to keep your eye on. Next headline is that Zach Ertz has not reported to camp. And that's because he doesn't know what his situation is. Philadelphia has shopped him around. They've tried to trade him. So far, no takers. It looks like he won't be playing for the Eagles. If they can't trade him, likely he'll be released. And then sign with somebody who's desperate for a tight end, I guess.
The Patriots.
Yeah, who's collecting all the tight ends.
It's a joke because they're collecting all the tight ends.
I mean, you got to figure Ertz is only, 2 seasons removed from being a top 5 tight end. I know he had a really bad year last year, and the year before was injured. It was
injuries.
Yeah. And I know in football you can fall off the cliff quickly, but if he has the right destination, he could return to relevance. In a world where tight ends are, it's a crapshoot.
In a world where people draft Evan Ingram, I think I'd take Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I would take Zach Ertz over him, depending if he has a good landing spot.
Yeah.
With Ertz definitely out of the picture, Dallas Goedert has shot up rankings everywhere and is a hot tight end in mock drafts. He's going around the Logan Thomas, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant range, which you got to figure.
It's a good
spot. Yeah, hopefully one of those tight ends ends up being like a week in, week out starter. Out of the 4 of those guys, we hope at least one can be usable. Otherwise, it's again just gonna be the 3 plus like TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews. Anyways. All right, last headline, gentlemen, I have is that Najee Harris is being used everywhere. He's being used in all situations, and even Najee himself said something like he's a Swiss Army knife, or not that exactly, but that
they're going to line him up at wide receiver.
They're going to line him up everywhere. Cam Hayward said it's nice to have a guy on the offensive side of the ball that can handle the rock 30 to 40 times a game. It was like, whoa, if he's getting 30 to 40 touches a game,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Then he's definitely worth his second round draft capital, which is where he's going in mocks. I can't see him going in the first because there's so many other running backs, and then the Tyreek Hills and the Adamses. So the earliest you would have to take Najee Harris is probably round 2, and he could end up being a value there with the way they're talking right now. So in redraft, and Moose is just chomping at the bit for Dynasty. Just can't wait to click that button. Najee.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. Someone might take him before me wildly.
It's true. We should tell our Dynasty League not to listen to the podcast, so they're not just don't listen to these rookie episodes, and then you can tune back in.
Yeah,
just tell them that we were off for the summer, and then check back in.
It's not summer yet, technically, but it feels like summer
for the spring.
Yeah,
you know what I meant, Dave.
I did. I just like bugging you.
Classic.
All right, gents, is it time for our main topic?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Super excited. So we are continuing with our rookie reviews, and we did 2 episodes on running backs, the top 6 running backs, 3 in each episode. So make sure to listen to those in our previous 2 podcasts if you haven't. Today we're starting wide receivers, since these guys have pretty high relevance. We feel we're doing 2 wide receivers per day. So today's are Jamar Chase and Jaylen Waddle, and we're real excited to talk about these guys. Anthony is going to hit us with a little background on Jamar Chase.
Yeah. So Jamar Chase, drafted round 1, pick 5 by the Cincinnati Bengals. He is 6 foot.
Are you sure?
0. 6
feet.
You sure it's not 6 How is it? I don't even remember. 6 feet.
You were saying foot and feet.
Yeah, I know, but I can't even remember.
6
feet. 6 feet.
He's
6 feet tall.
200 pounds. His 40-yard dash time was 4.38.
Ooh,
some sites say, I think that was his second time. The first one was 4.4. His vertical is 41.
Ooh,
dirty. And just a little note, in high school, he was clocked at his 40 time at 4.66.
And
now
terrible.
He got it right. But he got himself faster. Exactly. So I'll address that a little later on.
4.6 is pretty fast for someone in high school.
But somebody,
yeah, fair,
sure. But anyways,
we had.
I'll address it a little later.
Throwback. Greg DeLillo went 4.5 stopwatch time, but 4.5 in high school.
And compared to everybody else, that was lightning fast.
Oh, he was. Yeah, I mean, our plan and when he played rugby was just give the ball to Greg and he'll just go around everyone. So, sorry, Anthony. A little throwback discussion.
It's okay. So in college, he played for LSU. He was a freshman in 2018. His first year wasn't outstanding. He played all 14 games. He started 8 of them. He finished the season with 23 receptions for 313 yards and 3 touchdowns. But in 2019, he finished the year with 1,780 yards on 84 catches and 20 receiving touchdowns.
Ooh.
Setting an SEC record until it was broken by Devontae Smith the year after.
This past season.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a pretty fantastic season. But last year, he sat out. He he opted out. Sorry. He opted out. A lot of people thought it was for COVID-19, but it wasn't just for that. He actually just wanted to concentrate on making the NFL. And I believe the rule is that you have to be in college or like just before you go to the NFL, you need 3 years or something like that. So he just took that year to focus on getting ready for the NFL draft. So yeah, that's pretty much his college career. I mean, I don't like these college players that opted out for the sense of like fantasy. Like, I mean, take care of your health or whatever the reason it may be, but it's just hard to tell with a year off.
It's harder for us.
because you see some of these players in the NFL that have opted out, or like guys like Le'Veon Bell that opt out of a season because of contract issues or whatever, and then they don't come back to where they're supposed to be talent wise. So for a college guy to take a year off and then transition to the NFL.
Lev Bell took a year off to go ski doing and eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah, that's true.
I think preparing for the draft is a little bit different.
Plus, your age and position really factor in. So if you're a young man coming out of college, the time off like could maybe do you wonders. Right. Especially if he started training at a professional level with trainers, I'm sure he was. And if he did whatever type of training he did to go from 4.6 in high school to 4.3 in college, then I'm on board.
This is what
come back and be 4.1.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was going to say. Like his work ethic, it shows. He's made progress already from high school to college, and it shows that he's focused. And to take a year off to focus on the NFL draft, and we know that he was doing that and not just sitting around. Yeah. That's that looks good for NFL teams that were recruiting or trying to recruit him or scout him.
And the main, I think COVID did factor in a little bit, because otherwise he would have declared,
of course,
the year before. But a lot of people opted out.
But I don't think he could have declared. You need 3 years.
Oh,
that's what I was saying.
Okay, I understand. Great point. A lot of these guys who opted out, first of all, it was common, and one of the main reasons they opt out is because there's such a risk of injury at any level of football that rather than taking that risk and then not ever playing in the NFL, this way you sign your contract and you're guaranteed. Like he was one of the first ones to sign, I think, or has Jamar Chase signed? Anyways, I don't know, but he will, and you get some guarantee, get a signing bonus when you sign, and it pretty much takes care of you for life. So financially and life-wise, it's a good decision.
Yeah. So now to go to his situation. He was drafted by the Bengals, which means that he'll be reunited with his former LSU quarterback, Joe Burrow. He's going to play alongside breakout rookie T. Higgins and veteran Tyler Boyd. So, I mean, it's crowded, but I think, in my opinion, being reunited and with Burrow and having that chemistry that they've built in college, I think the coach felt, or the management felt, that this would be a good fit to elevate their offense. So I think the situation is pretty good for him. And I'm not worried about the 3 receivers being there. We see a lot of NFL teams have a bunch of receivers, and then everybody, like, for example, like teams like, I don't know, Minnesota or I can't even think of them right now. I can't even point, like teams with like multiple receivers, like three receivers.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
There you go.
Great example.
Yeah. So yeah, situation is looking good.
Here's a note on that. So I'd love to hear what both you guys think about where you foresee him. Is he automatically third on that depth chart behind T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd? Could he end up being first? And I just want us all to consider, and our listeners to consider, that they did lose AJ Green. And although AJ Green was not great for fantasy last year, listen to his targets. Some games he was 9, 13, 11, 13, 9, 7, 7. Like he had a lot of games where he was targeted heavily. So those targets have to go somewhere. So it's not like there won't be opportunity for Jamar Chase. Just that AJ Green didn't do much with his opportunity. But if Jamar Chase just fills in that role, he could do great.
So I'm gonna. Oh yeah,
I think he starts as the third, but he'll outplay Tyler Boyd throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuse like situation.
You think Tyler Boyd? I feel like we'll hear from Anthony in a second, but I feel like he's going to eat into T. Higgins more than Tyler Boyd. Like Tyler Boyd, to me, he'll be the same role. He'll be used in the slot. He'll be used on third down. He's like the reliable pass catcher, but like the deep threat, the speed guy, the outside guy. I don't know. I think we'll hear what Anthony says, but I think
I don't know. In terms of fantasy, I would rather the other two over Tyler Boyd.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll kind of combine everything. So situation, the coaching staff, and just basically his the team strength and the opportunity, all that stuff. The coach, Zach Taylor, it's his third season, only has 6 wins and 1 tie in the past 2 seasons, but he's an offensive-minded coach. Before he was made head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, he was on the Rams coaching staff as an assistant wide receivers coach, and then he went to QB coach. So it seems like this is the best situation Chase can find himself in. Like Joe Burrow being a young quarterback, being reunited with his former receiver, him coming in, the young talent with T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. He's the veteran and might be the reliable, I guess, receiving option, but T. Higgins broke out last year. And I'm pretty sure they're going to want to use Chase. Like, to me, Chase and T. Higgins have more talent than Boyd. Not that Boyd is going to be ineffective for your fantasy season, but I just think opportunity-wise, he'll start the season off kind of like Jefferson, maybe just start slow, and then 4th game, 5th game, he'll break out and he'll be a wide receiver 2 option for a lot of people. So I think the situation is great for him to succeed fantasy wise. And let's face it, Cincinnati, their defense, I mean, it's okay, or maybe subpar. They're kind of going to the Jacksonville Jaguars approach. Like, let's just get these offensive weapons and just go out there and just toss the pigskin around all day.
Yeah. Support Joe Burrow, build around Joe Burrow, and then you build a defense. I think you're right. It's good thing that you brought up Justin Jefferson's name, because Jamar Chase was teammate to Justin Jefferson at LSU the year they won the national championship. And at that point, a lot of people would say Jamar Chase was the number 1 receiver. And when Justin Jefferson was coming into the NFL, people, they knew he was good, but they were concerned that he had good college production because Jamar Chase took all the attention away from defenses. And then now with Justin Jefferson's breakout year, people are like, maybe it was the reverse. We don't know. But I think they're both very good. And I think it's the fact that he is reunited, and it feels so good. I think that's fantastic news for Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Like, Burrow's a very smart, very good quarterback. Don't forget, he asked them to draft Jamar Chase because Penei Sewell was sitting there, and everyone initially was like, well, Penei Sewell, you got to protect Joe Burrow. He broke his knee and blah, blah, blah. But
didn't they sign one in the offseason?
They got a left tackle. They got a veteran guy, Riley something. Then everyone was like, okay, well, now take Chase. But Burrow asked to get Jamar Chase. So I think you're absolutely right, Anthony. I think with his talent level, he could easily turn into the number one wide receiver on a decent fantasy offense. So,
and like the scouting report is that he's all around, like he has everything that you would want from a receiver. Like with his size, he's just solid. He's got speed. He works, his work ethic and everything. It's just, he's all in. And I think that's why he went this high. And that's why I think Cincinnati couldn't pass on him. Yeah.
And with how deep wide receivers are in fantasy football right now, because rookies aren't as popular in redraft, you can probably get him pretty late. So I think you could easily get him as your wide receiver 3 on your team. Depending how you draft, you think go a little higher. Yeah. I guess if you're going running back heavy, then maybe he would be your wide receiver 2 on your team, but which makes it a little riskier. But there's a lot of wide receivers out there, a lot of good wide receivers. So
right tackle Riley Reef was the guy they signed.
I knew it was Riley. Thank you, Riley Reef. So I think there's and normally you would say, man, rookie wide receivers, they never jump in and excel, but how many rookie wide receivers have we seen succeed recently? Yeah. Right? Like
last year was pretty much the first year. It usually takes a couple of years. Well, actually we saw it the year before too with Sutton.
Sutton, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, DJ Chark, I believe, was a rookie. Debo, that was the year. That was 2 years ago. And then last year, Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah. Ayuk. Who else am I forgetting? There's some other good ones. But
did you say CeeDee Lamb?
Really.
CeeDee Lamb. Thank you. CeeDee Lamb was great. So it is possible in today's day and age. These guys are coming in pro ready. All right. What else on Jamar Chase then, guys? Opportunity? The opportunity?
Well, I combined everything.
You combine everything.
Yeah, I think we spoke about opportunity.
What's your gut instinct on them then, guys? You want him on your team? Where would you draft them?
Yeah, you go, Moose.
Yeah, well, I already pretty much gave my gut instinct. Is that he'll be a weapon, but I wouldn't bank on him being your only weapon. Like I would.
No.
I would get your wide receiver 1 and 2 first, and then maybe go after him.
Okay. If you can nab him at 3, if you can nab him as your 3rd wide receiver, then nab him. Donovan McNabb him. All right. Anything else on Jamar Chase before we move on?
Nope. That's it.
All right. Well, then, Anthony, write it down. Jaylen Waddle is the next person we're talking about. And I will have the honor of introducing the Waddle, who was drafted 6th overall in the first round to the Miami Dolphins. He stands at 5'9", weighs 180 pounds. Oh, I don't have his 40-yard dash time. I don't think he did an official 40-yard dash or his vertical. Not interested in it, though. What I do know, he is a beast. He is very fast, like really fast. You can see it on his highlight reel and on the tapes. He's a great route runner, good hands. He returns kicks. Write that down, because that's if your fantasy league has return points, he's likely going to be their kick returner.
Dave, write it down.
Thank you. He's tough in contact. He's elusive. He creates space off of his routes. He is everything you want in a wide receiver. The only downside with Jaylen Waddle is he's a little bit small. 5'9", is pretty short. 180 pounds, not super big. It's not like the biggest guy, but even with that, he still went drafted really high. So I think his talent will surpass his small stature. And he also needs to work on press coverage. He didn't see a lot of press coverage because he was playing on a crazy good team where you couldn't press anybody, which brings me to his college history, guys. I wrote an encyclopedia on his college history in our Google Doc here, but his college stats are somewhat modest. Okay. Now, partially due to the fact that last year, 2020 season, was cut short by injury. He had a high ankle sprain I think early in game 5 of his season. But during his entire career, he amassed 106 receptions, 1999 yards. We're going to party like it's 1990. 17 touchdowns, and in basically 2.5 seasons. He averaged about 18.9 yards per carry, which is pretty big. Okay, now, he gets injured last season, but the first 4 games he played before getting that high ankle sprain, check out his receiving yards. 134, 142, 120, 161. How about that for a pace that he started with? If he didn't get injured, likely it would be him getting the Heisman Trophy, him getting the Kolitnikov Award for best receiver, and not Devonta Smith, his teammate, or neither of them would have got it, and Trevor Lawrence would have got it or something, because like his production was off the charts for those first four. Anyways, usually when someone has an injury like this and then goes into the draft, their draft stock dips quite a bit, especially high ankle sprain, right? You don't know how they're going to bounce back, whatever. But his did not. He still went 6th overall for a wide receiver. That's nuts. So that should tell you something.
I know why they did it.
Well, why did they do it, Anthony?
Well, because everybody doesn't believe that Tua could be a good passer, so they're like, why not make him feel comfortable and get him one of his former teammates?
And reunited, and it feels so good. I have to wait for you. Come on, man. Come on.
Is there that much of a break in the song? Like, I think you're hesitating too much.
You were in a band. We know I can't sing, Anthony, so okay. I am probably hesitating too much. These are things we know. So he was still drafted 6th overall. Obviously, they're confident in his talent. And he was, maybe Devonta Smith should have been drafted ahead of him, or Tony or Rashad Bateman. But I think most people's draft board, he was a unanimous top 3 wide receiver in a very good draft class. Okay, so he's talented. At his time in Bama, I'm not done with college history, guys. I'm so excited about this. He was part of a dream team of wide receivers, right? So they lost the national championship that year, the last year he really played, in 2019, to LSU. But the wide receiving core included Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Roman numeral 3, Jaylen Waddle, and Devonta Smith. And they made Tua look like a superstar, like an elite quarterback. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We don't know. And some say Waddle might have been the most talented out of all of them, out of all 4 of those guys. So that's crazy. Check this stat out. So we talked about reuniting with Tua. The book's still out. The jury's still out, I should say, on Tua. We don't know. He could end up being a very good quarterback. He could be a bust. We're not entirely sure. What we're concerned with is, is he serviceable enough to make Jaylen Waddle or whoever else a good fantasy option? So in college, Tua had a 74% completion rate when targeting Jaylen Waddle. That is good. And a 137.9 passer rating. That is also very good. And what's also really cool about Jaylen Waddle is he wasn't fully healthy for the championship game against Ohio State last year, but he still dressed and played. They thought he was just going to dress just to be a part of the team and be on the sidelines. He played. He went to the game. He's like, "Coach, put me in." He went and played. I think he caught like 3 passes. He wasn't fully healed, but it just goes to show the big thing on him is he loves football. He loves the game, and he's got real character and real grit. So that's where his 5'9" stature, I'm not too worried about it, because he's gritty. I am concerned about Tua. Like, reuniting is great. We don't have to sing the song again, but we'll see. We'll see what if Tua can handle this and get because last year the offense. Well, let's get into situation now. And the situation in Miami is that they're an up and coming team. You know, they're, I think, third year with Brian Flores now as head coach. They're not an offensive minded team. Obviously, they're going all in on Tua, and they're trying to surround him by bringing in Will Fuller, Jaylen Waddle, trying to surround him with talent. But they weren't great on offense last year. If you think about all their best offensive games and fantasy games, it was with Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the charge and not Tua, right? So It is a slight concern of mine in terms of Jaylen Waddle, but overall I feel pretty good about it. And then his situation is he's competing with Will Fuller, Roman numeral 5, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki for targets on a team that doesn't throw that much. But what do we know about Will Fuller and Devontae Parker, guys?
Will Fuller who?
Will Fuller, Roman numeral 5. What do we know about him and Devontae Parker?
Well, they both can't stay on the field.
Yeah.
Correct. And even Mike Gesicki had injury issues last year. So that's another thing that excites me about Jaylen Waddle is that he could have a clear path to being the number 1 wide receiver on the team without even earning it, just because Will Fuller, Roman numeral 5, and Devontae Parker get injured all the time. So he could end up being the only wide receiver there. And Tua's like, yep, thank you. I'll throw to him. And he's obviously comfortable throwing to him. 74% completion rate. So what did you guys see the situation differently than I do?
I do. And I know Moose certainly does, because the great Moose, 3-time champion, he has has one rule about one specific team, and that team is
don't draft anyone on the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Okay. So that still
that's
stands
Moose's
for Waddle?
take. For me, I think Tua is going to be one of these quarterbacks that won't really take the next step in the NFL. I think he'll be a starter. I don't think he'll be like, we're talking fantasy here. We're not talking real football. He might do enough to get Miami where it needs to be to a playoff spot. But I mean, for fantasy, he's not going to be a productive quarterback, in my opinion. And I'm worried about the size of, I am worried a little bit about the size of Waddle because.
Okay, so just to let you know.
Yeah.
He's 1 inch shorter than Tyreek Hill and they're the same size. Not saying he is Tyreek Hill or has Tyreek's talent.
Right.
But they're the same size.
But this is what I'm trying to get the height. And so I'm looking at Marquise Brown.
Height and weight are
Marquise
one thing,
Brown is 5'9", 189 pounds.
No, he's not 189.
180 pounds.
And that's now. That wasn't as
now.
A rookie. He was like 165 or 70.
Basically, why I'm comparing the two is because he's the number one receiver on Baltimore since he was in the league. He's a small guy to be the number one. He struggled. I think Waddle will struggle because of Tua, who, like Lamar Jackson, is not known to be the greatest passer so far in his NFL career. And I mean, Waddle is going to be the number one target, but he's a small guy.
Yeah, but what are we talking about here? Is the size concern because he'll get rocked, or that he won't be able to catch the ball?
That he'll get rocked.
Okay,
and I just
like Marquise Brown hasn't really been off the field because of size related.
But they're also two different receivers. I do realize this. Marquise Brown is more of a deep threat option, and Waddle, I think you put is going to be like a slot receiver. So I mean, it could work out better for Waddle than Marquise Brown. I mean, it's a possibility, but I'm just worried more that Tua for me is my worry for Waddle being productive in his first year.
So 100%, you could be absolutely right. But I like Moose's counterpoints there about other receivers, and the Marquise Brown comparison, kind of maybe a fair comparison in the sense that, it's a team that we're uncertain about their passing ability and the size factor, but I don't consider Miami a run first team, like a run heavy team, the way that Baltimore is. And the word out of camp, now we'll get into this in coaching in a second, is that they are kind of revamping their offense a little bit. The other thing with the Marquise Brown comparison is he didn't go 6th overall. He's not. They didn't invest that kind of draft capital in Marquise Brown, right? What was he? We'd have to Google it, but I think he's around 2 or 3.
Yeah,
yeah. And what's brutal about Tua is that I don't think any quarterback coming in at any point once the season has started will play as close to what they would have, had they been preparing for the entire season. So I think the fact that he had the whole on and off with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that mess, wasn't the greatest. Fair.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Tua was coming off of hip surgery. Like he broke his hip.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other issue. You might think about that concern, but he was coming off a major injury, so it's a lot to come back from. So now coaching. We're talking about Brian Flores, former Patriots coach. They're completely revamping Miami. They went from kind of like one of those basement dwelling laughing stock type of teams to now they look pretty legit, and they're competitive and they have good culture. Now, last year's offensive coordinator, who may or may not have done a good job, was Chan Gailey. He resigned, and the Dolphins promoted not one but 2 coaches to be co-offensive coordinators, and that's the running back coach Eric Studsville. Great name. I mean, if he's not, he should just be it because of his name. And then quarterback coach George Godsey. Like with these names, you figure like Studsville and Godsey, like they're going to be the best coaches of all time. But 2 offensive coordinators, like who's going to be calling the plays? Who's going to be in charge of what? It makes me think of when I love The Office, guys, and pardon me for all these Office references I keep bringing into the podcast, but
it's better than your Star Trek ones.
Thanks. So I'm approved. The episode where, or when Jim is made co-manager with Michael Scott,
so good.
And then there's a clip of Oscar who's like, "Yeah, I think of course it's a great idea." Like, or no, he's like, any genius knows that you can't have 2 heads of something. Like, just ask the popes or the presidents how they're doing. Like, rattles off a bunch of things. Like, doesn't work. So,
and
we'll see how that pans out.
I gotta do it just to get you vexed. But it's kind of like Star Trek Voyager when Chakotay and Janeway are both captains, and one of them has to step down because their crews are joining teams, and then
Oh, is that like the start of the series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not too
So to get back,
had to do it, Anthony.
It's okay.
It worked out in their case, though.
So that's another concern of mine. I don't like the sound of that. But I think once camps roll out and they announce like, okay, this person's calling the plays, this person's, if they have a division of labor and like Brian Flores is a good head coach, I'm sure it will be fine. Their division's pretty tough. We know the Patriots and the Bills are pretty good. The Jets are not. But they were competitive in that division last year, and they get to play the NFC South, which means they're playing Carolina, Atlanta, the Saints, and the Saints. We got to start thinking of them as a new Saints. Like, I don't think they're going to be as effective as last year. And the Bucs, who are obviously amazing. They also get to play the Giants, the Texans, the Titans. So when I took a gander at their schedule, it seemed like a very favorable schedule for the Dolphins. So I liked it. Team strength, they're more of a defense first, not necessarily an offense. We'll see. And then I think we talked about opportunity with Jaylen Waddle enough. So that takes care of all our major categories, guys. Gut instinct. For me, I love talent. I love talented players. So I think talent can overcome a lot. I'm not, obviously, Jamar, I wouldn't put him ahead of Jamar Chase, but I really like Jaylen Waddle. And I think I'd be comfortable with him as maybe wide receiver 4 on my team. Not 2. That's way too much of a risk. 3, you're like, depends how your draft goes, but maybe 4. I can tell you that I did a mock draft last night to prepare for this event. And I was like, all right, let's see where I can get Jaylen Waddle. And in our mock draft with some very nice gentlemen and capable, seemed like good drafters, I got Jaylen Waddle in the 11th round of a PPR redraft, PPR, half PPR. And he was my 4th wide receiver. So, and I went pretty running back heavy. So if that's where he's going right now, I think he's pretty good value there for the 11th round.
Yeah, I like 4th wide receiver. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I'd have him waddle on over to my team to sit on the bench for a while and see what happens.
For me, it's for redraft. It's not draftable. Maybe in the last round as a flyer, but I'm not relying on. I think Tua is too much of a question mark right now.
Okay. Okay. Can we do a would you rather?
Sure.
Okay. Moose, to have your permission, you didn't say anything.
Well, you cut me off, so I just figured you were gonna. I just figured you were gonna roll with it.
Go. Continue.
It's okay. We can do the would you rather.
Okay. So you said you don't want to draft him. So I want to see who you would draft instead. Here are some people who came after Jaylen Waddle. And we're all answering. Would you rather Jaylen Waddle or Jalen Reagor?
Waddle.
Reagor.
Yeah, Reagor.
I think I'd probably even want Reagor. Darnell Mooney came after. Would you rather Darnell Mooney or Jaylen Waddle?
Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney for sure.
Yeah, Mooney's your guy.
Okay. Teammates, Bama teammates, and someone who's dropped off the map considerably. Henry Ruggs, Roman numeral 3, or Jaylen Waddle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say neither. I'm gonna go with Ruggs. Ruggs probably have a better season this year.
Well, Ruggs, Roman numeral 3, burned me last year when I made my beer bet for him. I'm gonna take the potential chemistry that could work out and pick Waddle.
Okay. Paris Campbell, who we talked about, or Jaylen Waddle?
Waddle.
Campbell.
Okay.
Who are you going to pick, Dave?
In that situation, Waddle. I would take Mooney. I would take Reagor, but I would take Waddle over Campbell. And then one more. Oh, some good ones. Cole Beasley or Jaylen Waddle?
Waddle.
Yeah, Waddle.
Waddle. Okay, awesome. McCole Hardman or Jaylen Waddle?
McCole Hardman.
Hardman.
Maybe, eh? Oh, he went in the 13th round of our mock draft yesterday. Like because Sammy Watkins is gone, right? So he's like the 3rd receiving option now.
Yeah, they re-signed Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson to 1-year deals, who have both sort of started over McCole Hardman in the past. Well, everybody references last season, but McCole had COVID issues, and last season's such a question mark for a lot of players. But I don't know. I saw some footage of him working on his speed, and I mean, the guys looked good in the past. especially if you have return yards in your league.
He is fast. I don't know if the video's been released yet, but there was this whole thing, McCole Hardman and Devin White, the linebacker for the Bucks, Justin Jefferson, and one other, I'm forgetting the fourth guy. Henry Ruggs, Roman number 3. And they're doing like a race, right? They're doing like a 40-yard dash race. I don't even think they were all together, but they're all separate locations. But it's cool little thing, like talking it up. DK Metcalf got this whole ball rolling.
But I don't know. Tyreek Hill got it rolling last season.
Yeah, that's true.
True. Very true. Pringle, I don't know if Pringle scares me because in terms of eating into McCole Hardman's opportunity, because the thing with Pringle is once you pop, you can't stop. But I don't think he's popped yet, so I think we're safe.
Well, he looked good in his limited time playing for the Chiefs. When he did get out there, he looked good.
Okay. Oh, veteran QB. We have guys. We have breaking news on the podcast. This so rarely happens. It won't be breaking by the time people hear it, but the veteran quarterback Jeff Driscoll, who spent last season with Denver, is signing with the Texans per his agents, tweeted from Adam Schefter.
Wow.
So that's quite a few quarterbacks they've brought in. So I think we're talking pre-podcast, Moose, about they were interested, Houston and Jarrett Stidham. They went the Jeff Driscoll route instead. So now they have Tyrod Taylor, Jeff Driscoll, Ryan Finley, we believe. We got to vet that. I don't remember.
They do. They 100% do.
And the rookie, Davis Mills. So do we have other breaking news?
I think we might. Hold on.
Oh.
I need to see
or
this.
Okay. Like someone in our league picked up Jeff Driscoll immediately?
I think that's what happened.
Wow. This is how great our league is. Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
We have a really deep Superflex dynasty, and if someone went and grabbed Jeff Driscoll as we announced,
that would have been hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Just to like screw Moose over in our dynasty as the
Deshaun Watson guy.
Deshaun Watson owner.
Yeah, it's okay. Moose's team is so deep; he'll still be okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? We got way sidetracked there, but anything else on Jaylen Waddle? So Moose is not drafting him. Anthony, you would maybe take him late.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying
wide receiver 4
previously.
Yeah. Sorry,
is I might take him in the last round if he came to me.
Okay. Yeah. Moose has always has these. You take flyers. The idea of taking a flyer on someone, which is someone who could end up being a gem, a diamond in the rough,
the old dart throw.
You like doing that in the last round, and
well, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
I mean, by the time you're there, I mean, just about anybody you draft, regardless of who they are, is going to be a dart throw.
I don't think he'll be there because I think people that do believe in Tua will take him, but you have your very specific rule. Like everybody has that team where they're just skeptical to draft players from that team, and yours is Miami.
I like Moose's rules though. Like, prove me wrong. Like instead of getting burned repeatedly, he'll wait until it happens. Miami's good, and they'll be like, okay, I'll change my rule. Miami's good now, but he doesn't do it until they're proven.
I'll tell you mine. My rule from when I started playing fantasy, I've been burned so many times by Dallas players when I'm on the brink of making the playoffs or in the playoffs. I remember I had Darren McFadden when he came in relief and was the lead back in Dallas. I needed to win out to make the playoffs. I had 3 games I had to win in a row. He helped me win 2. The final game, all he needed to give me was 5 points. He fumbled 3 times, and I didn't make the playoffs.
He Evans'd you.
Boy, almost got me to say it. But also, when I won the Dynasty Championship, I benched Gallup the whole way. I was just like, if I play Gallup over somebody else, he's gonna burn me. And I benched Gallup. I benched him, and I won.
Yeah. Sometimes every man's got to have his code.
Yeah.
Or woman. Every woman's got to have her code too.
Has their code.
Every human being.
Okay,
yes.
guys.
Thank you, Anthony.
Should we quickly?
Every person needs a code.
Every person needs a code. Before we jump back into our next segment or go into our next segment, can we do a little Jamar Chase? Would you rather to see what the difference is between a Waddle and a Chase?
Yes,
sure.
We can.
Okay. Do you want to go based on wide receiver 3 last year or wide receiver 2 last year in terms of picking.
Let's go the higher end wide receiver 3s and the lower end wide receiver 2s. Let's do that in between.
I like the way you think, Anthony. I like the way you think. And again, when we say wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, we're talking about the second wide receiver on your team, on your actual fantasy team, or the third wide receiver on your actual fantasy team. And we're always talking in terms of 12 team, half PPR. So let's start at last year's. So a wide receiver 2 would finish around 24. So let's start at 22 last year, which is DJ Moore. Would you rather DJ Moore or Jamar Chase?
Oh. DJ Moore.
I'm going DJ Moore. I'm a fan of DJ. And they lost Curtis Samuel. They did bring in a rookie in Carolina, Terrence Marshall, and they got Sam Darnold. We don't know how they're going to pan out, and
Robbie Anderson. So it's between him and Robbie Anderson. I'm going Moore.
Moose?
I'll just be the odd man out and go Chase.
Cool.
I like it.
Would you rather Jamar Chase or Deontay Johnson, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver?
Chase.
Oh. So these are it's interesting because these are both teams with the 3 wide receiver thing. But Juju and Chase Claypool probably better than Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins.
Exactly.
So it's a close one. I liked Deontay burned me so many times last year with his drops, but I like Deontay Johnson. I'm going to say Deontay Johnson.
Homer.
You're absolutely right. But he was I'm a well-targeted homer. Curtis Samuel, who's now on the Washington football team, or Jamar Chase?
Chase.
Wow. I'd probably go Jamar Chase.
It's just like who knows if that offense is going to be like, I know Cincinnati's going to be high powered.
Yeah.
Who knows what Washington's going to do?
Washington, we know, is at least run first. So we know that.
Yes. And a new receiver on a new team, Curtis Samuel, we don't know. But Cooper Kupp or Jamar Chase?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I go Cooper Kupp.
And one thing we didn't mention in the headlines is that Bleacher reported that Stafford is already trying to build a rapport with Cooper Kupp.
Always good.
Not Woods.
Oh, are we going to do it again? Should we have an annual Woods versus Kupp bet?
Yes, I would.
Since I won I think it'll be closer this year. But since you won the first one, let's do it again. Stamp it in the sand.
Stamp it in the sand.
Stamp it down. Woods versus
Kupp. Hey, that's actually that should be our new beer bet.
New Stamp it in the sand. Write it down. Moose, do you want in on this Woods versus Kupp action or?
Tell you what,
you took Kupp last year.
I'll take Jamar Chase.
No, we're not doing that.
Why not? If you're
no.
Yeah, but if you would you rathering Kupp and Chase, but you're saying that Robert Woods will do better than Cooper Kupp, then why not?
Oh, I like it. Let's do it.
Let's
just do it.
If you're comparing two of them, but you're going to say that he would do better, then it's a fair.
Moose likes being the odd man out. Let's do it. I like it.
I'll do it for the fun of the podcast, but I want it on record that I think Jamar Chase his upside, it could be even high wide receiver 2 to low wide receiver 1. So I don't like the bet, but I'll do that with
Kupp and Woods.
Moose looks for opportunities to be like, this is an easy beer for them to drink. Here you go.
Yeah, but hold on, because we all said Cooper Kupp over Chase.
Oh, in terms of drafting, because of his reliability, but who has a greater upside? Jamar Chase has greater upside than Cooper Kupp. But in terms of if I'm at the draft and I have those two options, I'll probably be like, I know what I'm getting with Cooper Kupp and that slot receiver and easy, 10 points a game to 12 points a game. Jamar Chase could be zeros for a while, but then he could bust out and be a hero.
Like Jefferson.
So it's a draft strategy thing versus an upside thing, I think. Okay. Jamar Chase has tons of upside. Okay. A couple more. Jamar Chase or Corey Davis?
Chase. By a long shot.
Who is it? Say it again.
Jamar Chase or Corey Davis?
Oh yeah, Chase.
Yeah, I'm not confident in the Jets, so I go Jamar Chase. Brandon Ayuk or Jamar Chase?
Brandon Ayuk.
Chase.
Wow, this is a good one. People are really high on Brandon Ayuk, but we have to remember no George Kittle, no Deebo Samuel last year for basically the whole year. So Brandon Ayuk was the only guy there. I think I go Jamar Chase. All right, and last one just for Anthony. Jarvis Landry.
Hold on, based on that argument, Jamar Chase in the same situation. There's tons of receivers as well that he's got to compete with.
Yes, but my point is that Brandon Ayuk, people are so high on Brandon Ayuk because of what he did last season in his rookie year.
So he's established. Like, he's established himself in that offense.
But I think he had to. He had
who's
no
going to be the leading?
But he's done it. He's already done it.
Hold on. All right, it's true. Who's going to be the leading target on San Francisco?
Debo.
I would say Debo.
Kittle. Well, if you're counting all receivers, Kittle.
And then second, who would you say? Debo or Ayuk?
Debo.
I think it'll be either Debo or Ayuk.
Okay.
Debo.
All right, last one just for Anthony because he's a big Jarvis Landry fan. Jarvis Landry or Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Thank you.
Chase.
Okay. All right. I was going to.
Well, I mean, but Dave, if you're talking about
draft strategy.
I mean, old Mr. Reliable, you know what you're getting.
He's not that reliable, Jarvis Landry. Separate discussion. We'll lead off next episode with it.
We talk enough about Jarvis
Landry's reliability. Okay, that does it for our rookie wide receivers. Let's get into our next segment.
They said it on Reddit.
They said it on Reddit.
So beautiful.
I did a double hands on the headphones, Anthony. You weren't even watching.
I did. My peripherals.
Looking straight ahead.
Okay, this they said it on Reddit comes from user John Mess is my dad. And he has a keeper conundrum. So a keeper league is a league where you keep some of your players with varying rules. And he goes on to say, I'm in a 2-keeper league. I have DK Metcalf, Antonio Gibson, and DeAndre Swift. That would all cost a 5th rounder. I also have Jonathan Taylor, who would cost a 2nd-round pick. You can keep these players for multiple years, but the cost increases by 1 round each year. Taylor would be a 1st next year, and the rest would cost a 4th-round pick. If I were to keep 2 of these guys, that cost a 5th. Obviously, one would be bumped up to a 4th. I feel like Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf for a 2nd and a 5th, respectively, is an absolute no-brainer. But the value of DeAndre Swift or Antonio Gibson for that low sounds too enticing. Who would you keep?
So great question from John Ness is my father. Is that what his name is?
It is.
Great question. Love the way they do their keepers, by the way.
I like that a lot.
First of all, so we have a keeper league where we keep 2 guys, and those are just your first 2 picks in the draft, and the draft essentially starts at round 3. But I like this style. I like the style where, and we tried to change it last year, but no one was down for it. Where it costs you the draft pick where you drafted them last year, and I really like this format where each year that goes up. That's a really cool way to do it. You laughing, Anthony?
Yeah, because I'm just remembering when the 3 of us were talking about trying to get it done in our keeper league, Moose was helping us on the wording of it, and then when it came time to vote, Moose voted against it. I'm like, I messaged Moose on the side, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I never said I was for it. I was like, what the heck?
So Moose is part of the brain trust that fleshed out the wording that then voted against it.
It was beautiful.
Okay. That's fair.
It was so good.
Well, I mean, Moose wins so much. Why would he change rules in a league that he's won the most?
Right.
Exactly.
So this is interesting. So usually in our keeper league, running backs are the most kept, and then like the elite tight ends. A couple wide receivers are kept, but usually running backs are kept.
Right.
And that's because running backs are at such a premium to get stud running backs. So if no draft capital was required, I think I would keep Jonathan Taylor and Antonio Gibson if there was no draft capital involved. But the fact that Jonathan Taylor costs a 2nd-round pick, which is, and then a 1st round next year, is interesting because he's a player that in a redraft league will cost you a 1st round this year, but then who knows, right? What's going to come next year? But to me, my gut still leans Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf stands out to me DK and Antonio Gibson stand out to me in the 5th. Because that's a huge value. You can get they're usually going in the 2nd round of redrafts this year. So those are the biggest value, but I don't know.
I think one of the big problems with this question here, and John Ness is my dad, feel free to reach out to us with this information, is I think it really depends where he is in draft order this season, because he can keep Jonathan Taylor and then pick up, next year's running back, or later in the draft, pick up his future running back. But I would say if he wants to win this year, I would exactly do what you did, Dave, is keep DK Metcalf and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. And both a keeper league, another way to look at a keeper league is like a part, not a dynasty, but like partial almost dynasty, where like you don't want to give up on a keeper who's going to be a stud for like 5 years. Right. And I see Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf in that mold. I think Swift's going to get better. He's super talented, and Gibson was great last year. So they're all good, but I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to stop being effective.
Yeah. I'm going to say Taylor and Gibson. I'm old school. I'm pro get as many running backs as you can in our 2-player keeper. I know it's not the same rules. Like we don't lose draft picks or anything, but the 1 year that I won, I loaded up on running backs the first, I think it was the first 4 rounds. I had 3 running backs and 1 receiver. So he'd lose, what was it? He'd lose his 5th this year and his 2nd, right? So I think he would just get his receiver the first round.
Yeah.
And then he's set for running backs, and then he can potentially even get another top running back. So, potentially get another running back in the 4th round, but he can get his wide receiver 1 first round. That's what I would recommend.
You would have to assume, I guess not. It depends. And you try to figure out who other people are going to keep.
Right.
Because if people aren't going to keep, aren't going to keep Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs because they cost too much, like if those guys are going for first round and people are like, no, I'm not going to keep them, then I really like your approach, Anthony, because now you got JT and Antonio Gibson, who in a normal redraft would cost a 1st and a 2nd, and then go grab Tyreek Hill at the first round.
That's why I'm saying it depends where he's drafting, because
and who keeps what,
or even if he, whatever way you want to do it, 2 running backs or running back wide receiver, and that's it. Depending where you are in your first round, you can just fill in your gap, or if you're so high on DeAndre Swift or Antonio Gibson, just redraft them. Yeah. Again, depending on where you're sitting.
And what I like about these 2 running backs, they're both on run heavy teams, and there's nobody going to take their job. These are guys that broke out last year. I mean, anything's possible, but
my only thing is Jamal Williams in Detroit.
With DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, but I didn't pick Swift.
We picked Gibson.
No, but I'm just saying, like, this is it's part of his question of who he should keep.
Yeah, I like Anthony's approach. And if I'm if no draft capital is involved, and I'm thinking about ranking these guys, it goes Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson, then DK, then DeAndre Swift for me. And, good running backs, like stud running backs, are so valuable that, Anthony, I like your strat. I like your strat. I agree with you. Moose, what's your official answer?
To keep? Yeah, I would keep DK and Jonathan Taylor, and then just fill in the gaps where you need to.
Fill in the gaps.
Because, I would, like I said, it depends where you're drafting from. But I would rather just lock in the wide receiver and the running back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because I guess Anthony and I were assuming that some wide receiver of equal caliber to DK will be available. Mm-hmm. If not, then I agree with you, Moose. Go Jonathan Taylor and DK. Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah.
Hope that helps you. John Ness is my dad or father. Guys, I am drinking a beer tonight, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, because in solidarity for Moose, who had his vaccine today and doesn't feel like drinking. So I'm having a Phillips Brewing Glitter Bomb. It's like super disco. You have to go on YouTube to check out the can. Look at it, shining like the disco ball, shining with the light. Boom, 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 boom. It's only 5% hazy pale ale, but it's a classic. Very popular here on the West Coast of Victoria.
Nice. For me, I didn't even know I'm having a Guinness Blonde. I didn't know that Guinness Blonde was a thing. It's even weirder that there's a toucan on the front. I don't know.
The toucan has always been a part of their branding.
Has it? But it's not on the standard or the regular Guinness, the standard Guinness drink. No?
Yeah, but it's always been a part of their branding.
Okay. I was unaware of this. And he says, mine's a blonde while holding the blonde. So you need to check this out on YouTube. And it is also a 5% brewed in Baltimore.
I'm
not Ravens.
I'm not 100% sure of this story, but it's close to this. And I don't know if it's in relation to the toucan, probably not. But the Guinness Book of World Records was created because Mr. Guinness of Guinness Beer and another brewer, I think, had a bet about what the fastest land bird was, whether it was like an emu or an ostrich. And then from that, they started the Guinness Book of World Records so that when people had these debates, they could say,
wait. The Guinness Book of World Records is the same Guinness as Guinness the beer? Is that what you're telling me? Like, it's the same dude or the same family?
Yeah, we might have to
please Google that, because that's I didn't know that, and that blows my mind.
We might have to fact check it, but I remember reading that some years ago. That's how the book started.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. I mean, makes sense. How many famous Guinnesses could there be?
I'll look it up and I'll get the whole story for next time.
Yeah.
Okay. We're leading off with this story. Like, we can't, we're keeping people in anticipation here. So Sunday's episode, Sunday, May 23rd, which when I'm getting my vaccine, so maybe I won't be drinking because I'll be all, my arm will hurt and whatnot. We're leading off with this.
Oh my goodness. No, I'm going to read it now.
What? Well, you got to make sure it's the right thing. You can't just read Wikipedia here.
Well, I mean, from what Moose said, it's pretty accurate with Wikipedia. And I mean, if it, should I do it or should we save it for next?
Let's do it. Do it.
Okay. So on 10th November 1951, Sir Hugh Beaver, then the managing director of the Guinness Breweries, went on a shooting party in the North Slob by the River Slaney in County Wexford, Ireland. After missing a shot at a golden plover, he became involved in an argument over which was the fastest game bird in Europe, the golden plover or the red grouse. It is the plover. That evening at Castlebridge House, he realized that it was impossible to confirm in reference books whether or not the golden plover was Europe's fastest game bird. Beaver knew that there must have been numerous other questions debated nightly in pubs throughout Ireland and abroad, but there was no book in the world with which to settle arguments about records. He realized then that a book supplying the answers to this sort of question might prove successful. So I don't see anything about a toucan right now.
Okay, but maybe it's not a toucan. Maybe it's a red plumber or whatever kind of bird. Maybe you're mistaking it for a toucan.
Maybe, but in some of the other marketing, like, it's clearly a toucan. Like, it has the colored stripes. But yeah, maybe you're right.
Now I'd like you to click. Usually on Wikipedia, a thing like
plover. It's definitely what's on the can is not a plover.
Okay,
and then it's definitely not a red grouse. We know all about red grouses. Because of the
first of all, can we just scale back? Can you read again the first just 2 sentences of that Wikipedia entry? Because there were so many wild things in those first 2 sentences. Like the guy's name.
So his name, North William Slob.
What's that?
Sir Hugh Beaver was the first
Sir Hugh Beaver is just fantastic as a name.
And then went on a shooting party in North Slob.
Shooting party. They have shooting parties, which is so cool. In where?
North Slob.
Well, yeah, but I think a shooting party
Slob is SLOB.
Yeah,
I think a shooting party just refers to like a bunch of people going out and hunting.
I know, but it's just awesome in North Slob. Amazing. I'm so happy we did that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that does it for this episode of the podcast. For Sir Hugh Beaver, for me, for Anthony and Moose.
Is your whole world just shaken up now?
Shaken up. My whole Guinness World Record is shaken up. But for all of us here on the podcast, we'll see you next time when we have a shooting party. As always, thanks for listening. See you next time.
Ciao.